Today on Worship Leader Wednesday, we are going to give you 5 tips for more effective rehearsals for your worship team. It's Wednesday, your worship leader Wednesday. Hey, before we get started, we want to ask you a question, and we'd like you to leave a comment below. Do you have rehearsals at your church? Do you just show up on Sunday morning? Maybe you show up and rehearse on Sunday morning. Maybe you have a rehearsal midweek. What do you do for rehearsals? How long do you spend at rehearsals? And at the end of this video, we're going to tell you what we do in our church for our rehearsals, and we'll give you a PDF download that gives you like exactly how we structure them and what we expect from people. In case you're wanting to revamp your rehearsals, you can use it as a guide. So Fuller, 5 tips for more effective rehearsals. What are they?
Can I tell an anecdote?
Yeah, you can.
I've actually had people ask me on a Sunday if we practice. And I don't know how that say. I don't know what that says. I'm like, what do you mean?
Was it that bad?
No. Yeah. So typically, you're like, that sounds offensive, but yeah, people actually ask, hey, do you guys kind of like get together and show up and pick songs, and it's a misconception because I think to get really good at something, you have to practice.
You have to practice.
So if you're not currently having a rehearsal, I would try to figure out a way to at least add to what you're doing already and maybe take it to the next level. So the first tip is something that I learned a long time ago, was to just stop winging it. Don't just show up without a plan and expect everything to go smooth, because it never does. You need a plan. Like everything in life, a well thought out, well organized plan of how you're going to start, how you're going to stop, and what you're going to do in the middle, with goals in mind, things that you want to accomplish, things you want to work on as the leader. And writing things down is very effective. Don't just show up and wing it. And if you also have a plan written, it gives an expectation to your team. When they show up, they know what the expectation is going to be, instead of just kind of showing up and going, are we going to start soon?
I remember early in my ministry, what we call ministry career, where as a worship leader, when I would hold rehearsals, I would often wing it in multiple ways. One, I would not really be prepared for musically for rehearsal, or knowing how we're going to structure it. And so the people that would come to rehearsal, the volunteers, would also be winging it, because I didn't really equip them very well.
You're setting the standard.
Sometimes it works. Sometimes it works. And if you're really talented, you can wing it and get by on just sheer talent for a while. Yeah. But the reality is, it's never going to be as good as it should be, or could be, if you came into it with a plan. So stop winging it.
Stop winging it.
So tip number 2 is have a plan, which kind of goes along with don't wing it. But we recommend that you have something really structured, and we recommend it just because that's what we do and it's worked for us. So have a plan, have a structure, give people expectations when they come into rehearsal. Now, we told you earlier that we were going to give you a PDF download that you could get what we do. So Fuller, tell the good people on YouTube, what do we do at our church for rehearsals? Because you sort of designed this, right?
Yeah, there's lots of ways to do it. What we do is, first thing we do is we start on time. Our rehearsals are 6:30 to 9 p.m. 9 p.m. being the absolute latest. 6:30 p.m. We start. That usually gives everyone enough time to get there from work and stuff. We spend about 15 to 20 minutes with the devotion, little fellowship, little, just fun time together, kind of de-stressing from the day. A lot of people just came from their jobs, so they're stressed out. So we'll have a word that we'll prepare, a scripture, maybe a story, then we'll pray. Then after that, we'll take about 15 minutes. We'll have the production team kind of get together and huddle, go over what they need to do, have the band vocalists get their mics, in-ear packs, get everything set up, make sure everything's working. And then usually by 7:15, 7:30, we spend about 30 minutes just practicing the songs. Like if there's a new song or something, we'll hit that. And then at 8 o'clock, we'll do a full run-through of the whole service, and we're usually done by about 8:40, 8:45, and sometimes we're out of there. My goal is to get out of there about 8:30, 8:45, because people love having that extra time. People love leaving early. They hate leaving late.
Like I said, hit that link below to get this PDF of exactly how we structure our rehearsals. This isn't, what would work for every single church. And there are some elements of that you may have more questions about, like what is a run through?
Sure.
Do all of your production people come to rehearsal? Which they do. What about people who are late? What about people who can't make it? There's a lot of questions that I'm sure you might have, things that we wrestle with week in and week out too, and we have sort of developed policy about. So if you have questions, let us know below. We probably should make at least a couple follow-up videos to this.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot that goes into like an effective
Yeah.
rehearsal. We're sort of skimming the surface today.
Yeah.
But the next point is have somebody hold you accountable to your plan. So who would be a good person to hold you? I assume we're talking to worship leaders.
Yeah, sure. So if you have other staff people at your church or other key volunteers, I mean, the bottom line is this: everyone on your team will love a plan.
Yes.
Everyone on your team will love being organized. The truth is, most musicians are probably the least administrative, the least organized out of everyone on the team, because we're artists and that's how we think. So, but a lot of the people that serve on our team are, like, in the daytime, they're like secretaries and teachers and stuff. So they're pretty used to being administrative. So giving someone like that a plan is going to empower them. So you can pick anyone. Maybe it's a musician that plays with you every week, or some sort of service director or something, or maybe it's your spouse or your pastor or whatever. You just want to be held accountable to it, because if it's just on you and there's no outward accountability, it's really easy to slip, because the reality is this is not a fun part of the job. So the fourth tip is just to value every second. Don't look at, if you've got 6:30 to 9 blocked off, 2.5 hours, that doesn't mean that you should absolutely use 2.5 hours and waste minutes. You need to still be very efficient, very effective, and don't waste any time, because people aren't there to waste time.
Yeah.
They're there to accomplish the vision. They're there to fellowship and help make Sunday all that it can be. So make sure you're accounting for every second. It's a pet peeve of mine, like when what I call waste rehearsal time. Like maybe we show up and my guitar, a string is broken because I forgot to change a string. Yeah. And now I'm wasting, 5-8 minutes, but then times the 12, 20 people that are there, that's like I'm wasting that much valuable time. So don't waste time. Think ahead. Think through what you need to do so that it's as smooth as possible. Not for you, but for these people, for your volunteers, for your team, because they're the ones that at the end of the day are going to feel really valued.
We all want the highest capacity people on our teams.
Yes.
We all want better and better and better musicians, leaders, production people. But if you waste people's time by not valuing every second, the high capacity people that you could be recruiting onto your team, they may show up and want to be a part of something. But if I'm going to be a part of something and I show up and it's like I feel like my time is being wasted, I'm probably not going to be involved in that, whatever it is, much longer.
Yeah.
People who are high capacity value their time very highly, and so if you don't value their time at rehearsal, by developing a plan, by being intentional about it, it'll be harder for you to keep better people.
Yeah.
And I don't know, that doesn't sound very nice, but it's just true. That's the reality of it.
Really good insight. And I'll tell you, over the years that I've been a worship pastor, when I talk to our really good, what you would consider professional people on our team, and I talk to them about what makes them want to be a part of this team. You want them to say, "Oh, because you're super talented and the music's incredible," but almost always it's, "I just love the way things are organized. It's very stressless. It's stress-free. It's fun, and it's encouraging, and it's uplifting, and it's professional."
Yeah.
Those are the reason, and those are all things that you can do with zero talent.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it. And the final tip is people over perfection. And just sometimes as musicians, we get caught up in the reason for a rehearsal is so we can nail this riff. So we can have this really super tight bass riff, guitar riff, drum thing going on. And we get so focused in on this thing that at the end of the day, in the grand scheme of things, is very small compared to people and their families. And, they worked all day and they need to go home to their kids and their wife and stuff. And so don't get to the...
you and I as worship leaders.
Yeah, exactly. And so don't get to the point where the music is more important than the people. And so I have a very hard deadline on rehearsal, 6:30 to 9. Never, ever, ever go to 9:01. Ever. Never go past it. And I think a lot of times musicians, they just get in the zone and they'll have rehearsal that's supposed to end at 9 and it ends at 9:15, it ends at 9:20, 9:30. Yeah. And you might think, oh, it's cool, but the reality is most of the people at your rehearsal are representing wives and husbands that are home waiting on their spouse to get home so they can go to sleep, and so at the end of the day, nailing that Lincoln Brewster riff, it's really cool, but you're not recording an album. And so sometimes we'll just like cut something. We'll just be like, you know what? It's not going to be worth the time. Let's just cut that out, because what is worth the time is valuing your people and letting people know that I care way more about you than what you can do for me. And I think as we learn to value people, we start to kind of compartmentalize them and we give the music its own appropriate place. Yeah. But it's not the most important thing. It's just a small piece of what the real big picture is.
So thanks again for hanging out with us on Worship Leader Wednesday. Again, link below to get that free PDF of what we do in our rehearsals and sort of what we expect from volunteers as well. Rehearsals are extremely important, and you as worship leaders, it's very much worth your time to sort of develop culture around and intentionality around making rehearsals as effective as possible. This will really reap benefits and rewards for you on Sunday mornings as you execute your worship services. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss another Worship Leader Wednesday. We'll see you then. Bye.